This is the police. Open up.
Hold it right there.
Who are you?
People's Watch. What's going on here?
Well, we've had a report of the person living here has been stealing items from the supermarket.
The big multinational that has 99% of its workers on 0-hour contracts and pays less than minimum wage while also paying out huge bonuses to upper management and massive dividends to shareholders?
I guess.
That's no longer a crime in this town. We're going to have to take you in for harassing citizens.
By what authority?
The citizens of this town have voted to give some of us temporary and limited authority to keep them safe from undesirables like you lot.
They can't do that. Stealing's a crime.
If stealing was a crime, you wouldn't be here. You'd be arresting the CEOs. Come along now. Let's not disturb these nice people anymore tonight.
Oh.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast where two queer trans women, that's us, we're wives. We talk about things what we've done in the week with media and things we've played and watched and listened to, and do silly voices at each other and try and make each other have a laugh while we catch up on the week.
That is the thing we do.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah, every week.
Pretty much.
I mean, most weeks. Very rare we miss a week.
Yeah, we try not to.
Yeah. What have you been playing this week?
What have I been playing this week? It's not been a big, heavy played week. I did play a new thing.
Yeah.
I played a game called Chronescher. I think that's how you pronounce it. So this is a little indie puzzle game. And it's got like a really nice low poly sort of art style. You've got a little person with a little hood, and they're wandering around these beautiful little landscapes that kind of remind me of the sort of Captain Toad / what's the new Lego one that's got a very similar vibe to
Lego,
that? Adventures?
I know the one you mean.
Yeah, that's
the sort of diorama-y one.
Like sort of small diorama spaces, usually sort of suspended in a void, or, you know, just that is the main focus of them, and then the ability to sort of do like 90-degree turns around them sometimes and look at them from different angles and try and work out different puzzle solutions. And this it does sometimes involve perspective stuff. It's sort of a mixture of perspective puzzles where, for example, like you go to a particular place and then realise that if you switch the camera to a different angle, you see that the path actually connects now, whereas it didn't before, because that block that sort of was mysteriously hovering in midair from this angle is right there, and it connects these two places together, and you can go between the two places.
The one you were thinking of was Lego Builder's Journey.
Builder's Journey. Is that even out yet?
I would not have gotten that name.
No.
It seems to be out. Yeah, it's out.
Okay. I kept sort of seeing adverts for it and was like, oh.
I want to... It's got apparently very good reviews. I kept being intrigued by it, and then it just kept seeming not being out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
same.
one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got that sort of vibe to it, that sort of like, here is a very self-contained puzzle. Can you work out what it is? And I do like that with a puzzle of like, all the answers are here. And there's only so many things I can do with that. Like, yes, you can click and move your character around to different places, and yes, not all areas will have the ability to get different perspectives. Some of them will have multiple perspectives, so it might be a case of like, I need to view it like from this angle, and then I need to flip 180 degrees, and then like back 90 degrees, just to get just the right places to like just jump between seemingly like completely different places of the map and just sort of find your way across. I think I've played about halfway through. It's got a nice little bit at the beginning where it's teaching you it's doing that silent tutorial thing of here is how you move your character. You just click the button and you move the character. Sometimes you're going to need to change perspective. Here is a map where there is just two perspectives, and it's got a really nice ramp up into that thing. And then the sort of pathway splits, and you've got a choice of one of them will give you like a whole section of portal related powers. So it's like you can lay down a portal, and then at any other point you can click on the portal icon again and you will be teleported back to that portal. So say you flipped a switch and moved a thing around, and now you can go back through the portal and press different switches, and maybe the order of the switches will help you find a solution to get to the exit. Or the other one is there's one in there that's like, put a portal down on this thing, then like step off it, drop another portal down, press a button, and be teleported back onto this thing that's now in a slightly different area or at a slightly different angle.
Yeah.
And there are some real bendy ones as you get further on, where it goes from being like, yes, I need to like line up all these staircases by pressing the staircase buttons in the correct order and shifting my perspective around that, to there's one that's like this moving platform and you have to move it to a number of different places, but the answer is usually put the portal down on that platform before getting off, but go do the thing that then moves it in a different way and then teleport back onto it, and be able to get different places from there. And yeah, I had a really good time with it. The other mode with it is snapshots. So whenever you take a snapshot, it leaves all the buttons in whatever state that was.
Yeah.
And then you can move yourself around, maybe press different buttons to get to a particular point in the map, and then press the like camera button again, and everything will be set back to there, but you'll still be in the same place. So that might mean you have the ability to fall down from somewhere high onto a different platform, or that you could like get halfway across an expanse and then move the thing you're standing on to be further forward, or like get most of the way across and have to do something that locks off your way back but opens up the way forward. There's loads of really nice puzzles. I think I've done maybe like 30 or so levels.
Yeah.
There's probably about as many more left. And it's just a fun little puzzle available on Steam and Itchy.
That sounds pretty neat.
Yeah. What about you? What have you done?
Well, I can talk a bit about a thing that I've started playing, but also may have at some point in the past played the entirety of early. I've been playing some Marvel's Midnight Suns.
What?
Yeah, I may have done a work thing with that game a while ago, so I'm giving you the caveat before I talk about it that I was paid in some capacity regarding that game like a year ago. So take any like pros and cons I say with that context.
The context of you've played it.
The context of I played a version that wasn't finished, and then I have gone back and played the finished thing. But also, like, money exchanged hands around that game, and that feels important to disclose.
That is an important thing to disclose.
So,
but this is not a paid advertisement,
no,
because we don't do that here.
Well, here's the thing. I really like this game, but I'm going to say my big caveat with the finished game, like, up front, and the big, like, thing that I think is going to be a stumbling block for people. This is a full-priced AAA video game that not only has cosmetic microtransactions, but there is an in-game character customization menu where you select outfits you're going to put on your characters,
right.
And it has the outfits you can unlock with in-game earned currency as options, so you can see the things that you could try and unlock.
Right.
And it also sometimes puts real money outfits in that list. So you're scrolling down going, oh, that's a cool one. How much in-game of my in-game currency is that? Oh, that's a real money one, and you put it in with the other ones. So if you're someone who's a completionist, it's not like the cosmetic microtransactions are just away in their own menu, and if you don't buy them, you don't see them. If you are a completionist, you could unlock every outfit for a character with in-game currency and have one outfit you do not have that is just staring at you as an outfit that is not yet in your collection that is real money only earnable. And that's frustrating for someone who likes to tick things off.
You said characters. Have we even mentioned the name of this game?
Midnight Suns,
It's
yes, Marvel's Midnight Suns.
So, I understand from the trailers that you are like a new superhero.
Yes.
And you're hanging out with existing known entities. Now, you said characters, so is it just for your main character, or are we talking alternates?
So every character has like 10 or so in-game earnable cosmetic skins, and then also there is paid DLC cosmetic skins per character as well. So I say this up front because I do not like the way they do it, and I think that there's no loot boxes, there's no randomization, but they've still done it in such a way that, like, it's constant FOMO staring at you if you're someone who wants to tick off every box.
There's no reason they couldn't have just gone, hey, the art department finished early, they made some nice assets, it's available as a DLC
I would've...
for a couple of quid, but the fact that they're putting it in a list of, hey, here, see all of the things.
Yes, the fact that you see it while in-game, while selecting which outfit to wear for your character, alongside the in-game earnables, is really frustrating.
That is a bit shit.
And if it wasn't for that, it would be a lot easier for me to recommend this, because I genuinely fucking love this game's core gameplay loop.
Yeah.
It has problems, and I've not finished the release version of the game, so I will not talk too much about those aspects until I have seen them myself in the finished game and what was or was not changed. But the core of this game is it's from the people who made XCOM, and the best, like, amalgam of things I can describe it as is, what if superhero XCOM, but it was also a deck builder, and also a little bit like a Fire Emblem game where you're micromanaging all of your people in your, like, all of your social links, to then make them better at battle because you built your social links. It is a game that is unapologetically sort of aiming at people who already have existing comics knowledge. It jumps in like a mile a minute. It's not going to ease you into these characters. But, like, once you get in, it does, over time, give you a lot of that backstory and context for these characters. But, like...
You are in media res, as it were.
You are in media res, and, like, not in MCU canon. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's just going to be thrown at you, and you're just going to have to roll with it.
Okay.
But it is it's a game of two halves. The core gameplay is you are doing turn-based top-down tactics missions. But your attacks, rather than being like randomized chance of hitting and and ranges of damage like in XCOM, you have decks of cards you have built per character. So each character has like an 8-card deck. And if you're bringing, say, 3 or 4 characters into a mission, you combine their 8-character decks together to get the deck you're bringing into this mission.
Okay, so it's like Smash Up, but with tactics.
Little bit, but an infinitely more interesting deck builder than Smash Up.
Not difficult.
Each character has their own unique aspects of how they play. Ghost Rider, for example, is all about, like, maneuvering positions of enemies around the battlefield.
Okay, like push and pull with a whip and stuff?
Yeah, push and pull with the sort of the flaming chain. Captain Marvel's really good at hitting with, like, one strong beam in a big straight line, so you could maybe use Ghost Rider to get things in a line so Captain Marvel can hit them all.
Okay, so, controlling the grid and positioning them?
Yeah, things like that. You've got characters that can, like, that have portals on the battlefield that they can sort of throw enemies through.
Okay.
Characters that are to do with lots of forcefully pushing things into environmental hazards.
Okay.
And it's about sort of working out how to combine these disparate movesets into sort of combos that will do additional damage for you. There's a lot of things I really like about this as a deck builder that get rid of a lot of the frustration that can come with like collectible and trading card games. It is designed to really, really make sure you have hand consistency and never have an impossibly bad hand where you're like, I've just drawn a hand and I can't do anything with it. So on any given turn, you redraw up to a maximum hand size. So if you have used up a bunch of cards, you don't just get one at the start of your next turn, you go all the way back up to your max hand size.
Okay.
Every turn you have a limited number of times you can just take a card in your hand and go, no, I don't want that one, and draw a replacement.
Okay.
So a couple of times per turn you can just swap out one of your duds in your hand for something else.
Okay, so there's a bit of management for, like, the card equivalent of rolling once.
Yes, there's a bunch of stuff to go, I've just had a bunch of bad luck, what can I do to mitigate that
That's
to keep this consistency? There's a lot of cards that will do things like letting you draw extra cards to help mitigate that as well. It is a deck builder that never wants you to have that turn where there is just nothing available to you.
He's just having a miserable time.
And then on top of that, even if you don't have any usable cards somehow at the end of that, there are still things you can do that don't involve cards that are always available to you, which I will get to in a second.
Okay.
So, in terms of, like, limiting which cards you can use. There is essentially a mana system like something like Magic the Gathering. You have a limited number of card plays per turn. So, like, as a basis, it'll be something like, hey, you can play 3 cards this turn. Well, whatever 3 you want. Once you've done 3 card plays, you're done. That's what sort of limits you sort of snowballing away, but there are ways to maintain that. There's a lot of enemies on... when you're fighting against enemies, there are generally 2 different categories. There is enemies with actual health bars that are meant to be a challenge.
Right.
And there are enemies with no health bars that will die in a single hit.
Okay, sort of like the Dynasty Warriors style of...
Right, yeah.
There's just, like, cannon fodder and bosses.
So that does 2 things. One, like Dynasty Warriors, it's there to make you feel powerful because
Yeah.
you're big superheroes and you should be knocking through stuff.
Yeah.
But B, there's a lot of cards that will have abilities that will reward you if you use that card to do a kill.
Okay.
So it's lots of things like, hey, get a free card draw back if you do a kill with this card.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, well, I can play more than 3 cards in a turn if I use my thing that needs me to get a kill on that thing that will die no matter how much damage I do to it. That's essentially a free card I've played, because
Yeah.
I'm back up to 3 card plays.
Yeah.
And as you sort of expand your deck, you'll get a lot more options like this of, do I want more cards in my hand? Do I want to play more of my cards this turn?
Okay.
Lots of things you can be using those nothing minion enemies to activate to sort of spec into.
So within the combos of what each character has within their own decks, you're also refining those decks before you go into combat.
Yeah.
I guess through the conversational stuff.
Yeah, I'll get to how you do the deck building in a
Apologies
second.
for getting ahead.
Yeah, so we're still in the like we're in a mission doing the mission
Yeah.
phase. So there's also 2 types of cards. There are 2 broad categories. There is basic cards that you can just play whenever,
Okay.
and there is heroic cards, which are your like very big, very strong super moves.
Okay.
That you have to have done a certain number of basic attacks to pay for that big attack.
Okay.
So your weaker cards are not ever useless, because at the very least they are moving you towards your big, a couple of times a battle attacks.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do those big attacks that use up heroism, the meter you've been building with these basic cards,
Uh-huh.
you can do environmental attacks that don't use up any of your card draws and don't need you to have cards in your hands, which will just be things like pull over a lamppost on an enemy, or leap over this box and do a big punch attack. And those are always available to you if you've been doing basic cards and like haven't spent all of that resource up.
Okay.
So even if
So can you like overcharge that? Is your like heroic move gonna like automatically drain that in one go?
So each heroic move will use up a certain amount of heroism. So like, let's say I had 5 heroism available because I'd played 5 basic cards. I might spend 3 of it to do a big heroic attack, and 2 of it to pull down a big hanging container on an enemy or something.
Okay.
So you've got all of these abilities on top of, like, so many different other kinds of mechanics that are specific to individual characters. It is a really, really well thought out combat system that I have been really enjoying mechanically.
As someone who likes deck builders, that sounds really interesting. And I remember when you were previously playing it, you seemed to be really digging it. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that that at least has come through.
The core gameplay loop is really fucking good, and this is probably the most I've ever enjoyed, like a tactical battling game like this in that sort of genre.
Really into rabbits for a while.
I got pretty into
yourself.
rabbits for a while, but again, like the way the card game element is integrated into this just really worked for me.
Yeah.
So then we get to the other half of this game, which is you're back at your big superhero collective house, doing all of the goodness knows how many things you can do between missions. There is a big open 3D area to go explore, with puzzles and secrets to find and powers to unlock and side quests to do.
So it's one of those you can spend almost as much doing outside stuff as in-game stuff?
It was almost a little overwhelming the first time I went going around that outside space and was like, oh, it just keeps going, huh?
Wow. So what, like bigger than Hades?
Bigger than Hades.
Because Hades had a lot of, like, outside of missions. Go chat to other people, go do some...
It's certainly a lot more, like, gameplay-related things to do
Okay.
outside of missions. There's a lot of go explore and solve puzzles and find objects and put objects in places, and now you've unlocked something over here, and
Wow.
find locations for social hangouts, and
Okay.
lots and lots of stuff to do. You can go do social hangouts once a day with characters to build up their stats and get rewards with them and bonuses for when you bring them into battles.
Okay.
There is
Like loyalty missions and...
there are things like loyalty missions. There are little missions you can send characters who aren't going on an active mission with you. Can send them off to do their own thing for rewards.
Okay, yeah.
When you complete main missions, you get essentially booster packs of cards to go open.
Right.
That will be like, here is like 4 or 5 cards. Pick one of them, take it. That's yours now.
Okay.
Duplicate cards that you do not need, you can use to power up other copies of that card. So,
Okay, so you're getting into, like, is it Genshin? Like, Genshin type stuff with the, I've got a level 3, this thing, but what if I made it a level 4 by
sort of
dusting other things?
Yeah,
I
so
haven't
if
played
you had
Genshin.
if you had like 2 or 3 of the same card, you could go, okay, so if I combine the 2 of these down into one, maybe its cost in heroism might go down, or maybe it'll gain an additional ability on top of whatever it already does.
Okay.
And then you can level it up again, and like you can basically use your duplicates to really spec into making that one thing you want to do extra helpful.
Yeah, 5-star platinum punch in the face.
Exactly. But then there's also, you can do sparring with characters, which gives them temporary buffs, so if you take them on the next mission, they'll have a little bonus.
Okay.
There's crafting for items that you can like use as disposable items in missions. There is there is so much stuff going on in this. There's a whole series of there's a series of challenges, and if you do those challenges, you'll unlock new abilities in the main missions, like the ability to kick enemies for no heroism once per turn, to do some damage and move them into position.
Okay.
And, like, there is just thing after thing after thing available to go, cool, go unlock stuff, to then shuffle around each character's little 8-card deck, pick which characters you're going to take, go do some side quests, go do main missions, rinse, repeat the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much video game in this video game.
Seems like it.
When I played a version like a year ago, I played like 70 hours and walked away like, yeah, I could keep playing this. I
remember
could
you
keep going.
saying, like, I'm very ready for this to come out.
Yeah, and I'm really enjoying it.
I'm
Other
glad.
than the caveat of, I really think that what they've done with the cosmetic microtransactions is predatory and shitty,
Yeah.
and I'm not happy about it. And this would have been a really easy recommend for me if not for them having done just like a very transparently just
Dangling carrot.
shady
Yeah.
manipulative thing.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because otherwise it's a really fun game. And if you know that's not going to be a mental problem for you, if you're not like me
Yeah.
with the little scratchy bit in your head, I could not recommend this game more highly. I really enjoy it. I have really been digging it.
Okay, and that's what, on everything, I'm guessing?
Yes, I think the only version that's not out yet is the Switch version. Is delayed a couple of months, but
Okay.
it's out on everything else, I think.
Cool.
But good game. Fuck you about the microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What have you played this week?
Well, that was it. It's not been a very big playing stuff. When we did play a decent amount of Hogs of War, the miniatures game.
We did. That's not where I was going to go, but we did.
Okay, well, we... so we've talked about this before. This is the 90s PS1 game. What if Worms was 3D and about pigs rather than worms?
And then what if that was a miniatures game?
And then what if that was a miniatures war game that you can complete in 90 minutes to 2 hours?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think we talked about this a few times before, but the game comes with a campaign book with, I think, 9 missions in it. 8 main story missions and 1, like, horde mode. Can you survive long enough to score a full 12 points when pretty much everything that will attack you is like insta-kill if it touches your base.
Hmm.
And it's nice that they've got that idea, and I believe because the main map is entirely made up of like tiles that you put down,
Yeah.
according to the book, you can make your own maps. And I believe there is a website for community designed maps and missions,
Yeah.
so I think that will be quite interesting. But we've just played one mission of number 3 and one of 4, I think.
Yes.
I think that was what we did.
That seems right to me.
It could be 2 and 3, but
Yeah.
So we had one mission that was mainly about just trying to get more swill and hold a capture point.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also victory points for destroying other people's buildings.
Yep.
And we played I think we've now played 2 missions of that. I can't remember if that was one we talked about last week as well, because we've played this like 2 weekends in a row now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so really struggled with that one. You whooped my ass again. You're very good at this game, and I'm very bad at it. But it's weirdly like no matter how defeated I feel at the end of a mission, that I'm always like, I want to have another go. I want to see if I can do it this time. I want to do it real well. And I think that's a good thing for a game to be like, I got utterly crushed. I felt very defeated at the time, but I will regroup and try again.
Yeah.
But we have each time we've done like 2 missions on each map. So we did the first one a couple of times. You won both of those. I definitely got better every time, but better perhaps at defeating your previous tactics. At which point you've gone, no, I have a much better idea how I'm going to do this time.
Not necessarily even that. Just I want to try something different.
Yes. And I struggle to adapt. Not a Borg, this one.
No.
But yeah, so the most recent one we played was it was supposed to be about like a spying mission. So it was get some of your troops, or for each one of your troops, you get through a small section of map on the other side, on your opponent's side. For each one of those, you will get 3 points. And we played that entire mission, and I think we were, 9 or 10 rounds in?
We were 7.
Well, we were 7 victory points, but we wouldn't have captured the thing that got us victory points on the first round. So
yeah,
maybe
you're
not
right.
even the second.
Yeah.
So I think we were about 9 rounds in.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And for the most part, I'd done a really good job of capture all of the swell production. And then hold on to it.
We had a very even match with a really strong stalemate going, in that Jane had managed to take the center, which had a bunch of like resource production points, and basically just bunker down and defend it in a way where I was just really struggling to retake it.
Yeah,
So,
and I wasn't even trying to advance, so it was just like, as long as I can stay here and stop you getting enough production to try and fight back, I think I can just wait this out.
Well, the other reason you weren't advancing is because you'd bunkered down on a line 1 hex away from
Your
the
Tesla
perimeter
coil?
of my Tesla coil, which I'd set up in just the right position to make it really hard for you to advance into the second half of the map. Without
I was working on it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah. But we had this stalemate of like you were generating twice as many resources per turn, but you couldn't really advance on me with it. And I was having to go, I need to come up with a strategy where by the time you know what I'm doing, it's too late to stop.
Yeah.
And-
Well, I mean, I was pushing forward. I'd got to a point of like, because what I needed to do was build up enough resources to start knocking out vehicles. And I did that. I got the vehicles. I moved them in 2 consecutive rounds, and I was about to get to the end.
Well, yeah, you were making a good dash for the end.
Yeah, I was like moments away from, if not victory, like at least making a good chunk on advancing the score. And you managed to use 2 jetpacking orderlies, like the medics.
Yes,
most of the way across the map, because they can move like 5 hexes at once.
Yeah, so what I realized was that like there's an item called the jetpack, and its big downside is you have to roll damage dice against yourself every time you use it.
Yep.
But I realized the medics can't fully heal themselves for a single action, but they can heal an adjacent unit for 1 action. So if I send 2 medics together, they both take a risky jetpack, heal each other,
Yep.
and just hop around the board that way.
Yep.
And it really came down to a case of if I roll badly and explode my 2 medics this turn, Jane will have won. If I manage to not explode, I will win.
There was a degree of complacency on my side. I will not argue that. Because several times you were like, I think I've lost this anyway. I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm just going to tell you what I'm thinking. And I was like, you know what? That's an amazing idea. But the statistics of you not just rolling completely explode all over the map
Yes.
was so low that I was like, no, I'm just going to get on with my thing. You go off over there.
I
drove right past you. I was like,
Yeah,
nah.
no, there was that moment where our units were a hex apart from each other, and I was like, I do not have the strength to kill your cars. If you shoot me and kill my 2 units, you will win this game because I will not be able to get over to the other.
And I was convinced I had another turn left to win.
You were like, no, I've got this. But like,
It was so funny.
it was beautiful. But I mean, here's the thing: that game could like, if you'd made it like a different a decision on that one turn where we were right next to each other, it could have gone totally differently.
It
was
totally could have done. And I think that's partly why I didn't mind losing that one, because it was just so funny.
Yeah, you'd gambled on I'm rolling damage dice against myself. And
Yeah.
I had the first good rolls I'd had all game.
Not only were you rolling damage dice against yourself, but you were rolling the most powerful damage dice in the game.
Well, see, you know what made me feel like it was an okay risk for me to take? I'd been rolling such low damage against you all game. I was like, if I roll as low against you against myself as I have against you, I'll be fine.
And for the first time in, 5 games, I finally had some good rolls on my attacks.
you were rolling like crits left, right, and centre.
Yeah, like my first 6 or so rolls, every single one of them had a crit in it. I was like, this is amazing.
And again, if I hadn't managed that push forward, you'd have won the war of attrition because you were picking off my units, you were producing faster than I could, and you were like very reliably like doing enough damage to kill my units in a single hit, whereas I was barely glancing you in those same exchanges.
Yeah, and
It was a fun back and forth.
I had a lot of fun with that one, possibly more than any other mission we played. And like at the end of it, I was like, so I came into this going, I just want to win one. Come on, let me just win 1 out of 5.
I really thought you were going to win it.
And I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I had a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a nice one. So I'm really enjoying Hogs of War, and I hope to press on with more of that because the rest of that campaign book looks fascinating. Like we've talked a couple of times about how there are certain aspects within that it's very difficult to get into them in some maps because there just isn't time. Things like planes and airships, and although you've built a couple of airships, you've maybe got to move them once or twice in a game. Or I think you had a plane once that you flew almost immediately into a mountain and never built another one.
I incorrectly understood what order turning and movement happened in and exploded my plane on the turn I built it and then was like, oh.
Yeah, so we haven't really seen much of that stuff, but there are campaigns coming up, or missions coming up later on that are like, hey, planes cost nothing to build this turn. The whole point of this is just to have fun with the dogfighting mechanics. Like, cool! That's a fun way of being able to try that, and I am excited to get through that campaign book and then maybe sort of like sit and ponder about how we might make like fun missions for each other to try out and test each other against and see what do. There's loads of cool stuff still going on in there, and we will report back on that.
Yeah.
Tell us about a thing you did.
Well, we played another thing together. We played The Devil in Me.
The new Dark Pictures anthology.
Yeah, that new game from the people what do choose your own adventure horror-y things.
You're not allowed to call it Choose Your Own Adventure. It's a copyrighted term.
Yeah, but I'm also choosing my own adventure, so I'm using it in a non-trademarked context.
So we had Manabadan.
Yep.
Little Hope.
Yep. I always forget the House of Ashes.
House of Ashes.
Yeah.
And now Devil in Me.
Yeah, so we'll talk about what this is and then talk about feelings on this one specifically. So all of these games in this anthology have been based on like various horror tropes or horror concepts. We had oh, are we on a haunted ghost ship type thing?
we had the ghost ship one. We had the witch trials one.
Yeah, the witch trials one that had sort of Silent Hill sort of vibes to some of its stuff.
We had the some ancient evil under the desert one.
Yep, and then this one was you're trapped in a serial killer trap house.
Yeah, we had the Saw one.
Yeah, it's kind of the Saw one. You've not got the person cackling and going, prove that you valued life, and you've not necessarily got that, but
you've got a man who types notes with an actual typewriter because he's obsessed about someone from the 1890s.
Yeah, so the basic concept is there is a real world figure called Henry H. Holmes, who is often credited as being the America's first serial killer. The claims of how many people he killed and the ways he killed them are largely thought to have been exaggerations of tabloid press of the time.
Wanting to sell papers.
Yes, but the in the real world and in the historical tabloids, but also in the game, it's implied that Henry H. Holmes, in the late 1800s, built essentially a murder mansion full of murder traps that was like, shifting walls so you can't find your way around, and trapdoors, and all sorts of things designed to do you a murder while you're trapped in his building.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is set in the modern day and follows a documentary crew whose documentary series about serial killers is not going well. It's kind of trash. The people working on the program together are all very dysfunctional and very stressed about the fact they're working on a shitty program that's not going well. And they get this great offer. There is a recreation of the murder house that's owned by a private collector, based on blueprints from back in the day. Would you like to come and see this recreation? And they're like, fantastic opportunity.
I'm shoot a documentary.
Yeah.
We're opening it as a resort. Wink.
Yeah, and surprise, surprise, they get trapped in a murder house and have to not get killed in the saw trap house.
Whomst could have foreseen this?
So I really like the concept of this. I like this as a setup on paper. I think it has problems when you put it into execution.
My problem with this is the same problem I have with a lot of serial killer media in their decision to use a real serial killer.
Yeah.
Just, the whole thing about glorifying real serial killers is a problem, because a lot of them are, I want to be remembered, I want to leave my mark, and I want to be known. And just, they could have, it's a video game, they could have very easily just gone, here is just a fake person we made up.
Yes. And I think that the fact that this game dances around that topic but fails to recognise the problems with the glorification of real serial killers is like, that's probably not a great call.
Yeah.
It is also somewhat used as a justification for some railroading moments, and I was less bothered by it than I would be in other games, purely based on the fact that, like, the narrative conceit going on is that there is someone who is funneling you towards these things, and there is not much you can do about being funneled there. It's what you do once you get there that is up to you. And I know that irritated you more than me. I was more willing to give it a bit of a pass of, the narrative conceit will let me look over that.
I think it was a mixture of things. So there were a number of times where there appeared to be options. But when you tried to move towards them, they weren't real options. It was just like, oh no, there's a can on the floor that you can't get past that.
Yeah. You know what I would have preferred? A lot of times where you take a turning and it looks like there's a door and the door's just locked.
Yeah.
And
just
I'm like,
have a blank wall there.
Yeah,
the whole thing about this thing is the walls move.
Yeah, start trying to go there. Like, at the point where, like, the characters are seeing the walls move, just have a wall slide over before they can get to the door.
Yeah. There's several cutscenes where a character runs into a room when seemingly when a character moves into a room that, rather than being a period designed room with like green wallpaper and sort of gas style lamps, is this brightly lit, fluorescent lit white room looks like the kind of room you see in a saw trap.
You are entirely correct, and I was with you there shouting, just not that fucking room.
Just
anywhere
go
else.
down the corridor.
Yeah, but also, this is terrible people in a horror scenario, and I'm willing to be a little forgiving of you made the dumb choice because you don't know you're in a horror movie. Like, and I know
Of all
you know
the
you're in
people they should have known they were in.
I know yeah.
The thing about sliding over a door, again, if that was happening, what was happening, I would have forgiven it.
Yeah.
Like, if there were the shots that they'd chosen made it absolutely clear there wasn't a choice. The only exit to the hallway that character was in was to run into the brightly lit room.
Yes.
That's probably a trap.
Yes. And the other thing I will say is there were a few moments where, like, I was a little frustrated at these characters' lack of awareness of the tropes they were set in, because they were literally a documentary crew who had been researching the man whose murder mansion this is based on, and his MO and what his whole deal was.
Yes.
They've been making, like, an entire documentary about this man.
Even if only the researcher amongst them had been going, hey, so I know the things, and I think this is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, like, there were certain moments where I was like, you should know what is happening here.
Yeah.
This is that killer's MO. You're in the killer's thing.
If the sound tech hadn't known, fine. If the cameraman hadn't known, fine.
Like-
If the lighting person hadn't known, fine. But, like, the main person who had read the script and the person who wrote the script, if they didn't know...
The first second the walls were moving, they should have gone, cool, this wasn't a recreation, we're in a real murder mansion. They should have jumped to that.
Yeah.
And, like, the other thing I'll get out the way about this is there are 2 moments where characters can die in this that are absolute bullshit.
Yep.
Where there is absolutely no way that you could make an educated choice in that moment to know what the correct choice is.
Yeah.
There is no piece of information you could recall and put to use to make an educated choice and go, this choice will keep both those people alive.
Well, you say that. I don't know that if there is something that might have been given away in one of the visions and maybe we didn't find a vision. But I've... From what I've seen, because since we played through this, like, we played through the whole thing in 2 sittings, and then I sat on YouTube and watched a 50-minute video of, here is all the different endings.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time, and you will probably be using PlayStation for other stuff, so, or even using those saves for other things. So, yeah, can't guarantee I'm going to get to see them any other way. So just like, sure, but like this of all of them really felt like that it had the most bullshit moments in it. There have been giant times in other ones where it felt like the reason that character died was my fault. I missed a prompt. I failed one of the breathing mini games. I did something a bit silly and accidentally made 2 people split up when you never split up.
Yeah. I'm going to give a spoiler-free, vague example of one of these.
Okay.
There is a moment where one of 2 characters could have an item.
Yes.
If one of them has it, they can use it to avoid death. If the other one has it, they can't use it to avoid exactly the same death.
Yeah.
And there is no logical reason why one of them could use it to survive and the other couldn't.
Nope.
It's just that one gets to use the tool to survive. And the other one doesn't get to.
Yep.
Like, that's kind of bullshit. This all being said, I did have a lot of fun with it. I
enjoyed the story overall, but if anything, I would have enjoyed this more as a movie.
Maybe?
Because then I would have just gone, oh, it's a movie and they're foolish because they didn't know movie tropes.
You don't want the foolishness applied to something in your control.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's bad enough already that I think they should know the tropes, but I do know the tropes.
Yes, I agree. But like, I really enjoyed like the core cast of characters.
Yeah. Even
like,
the one I hated.
Even the one I hated, I thought had a satisfying arc, and by the end, I was like, the conflict you've had made sense, and I think you've come away from this better.
Yeah.
Some of the characters I genuinely really enjoyed. One of them, I felt very, I didn't feel anything great for or against, but like, I
hope everyone enjoys this week's accessibility thumbnail, because I was doing the edit and there was just a moment where there was just a perfect freeze frame, and I thought that is the most rotten looking facial expression. But I know that actor actually does pull that face, so can't argue with it. Screen capture, that's it. That's the thumbnail.
yeah.
But I think this is a thing that apparently has been going on in Supermassive games for a while, that we only first noticed in this one, that faces are getting reused.
Yeah. There was at least 2 characters where we were like, have I seen you in one of these before?
Is it the lighting, or am I missing something? So, Jamie's character face is the same digital face used in Man of Medan?
Yeah.
As Fliss, I think?
Yes, the woman who was sort of driving the diving boat.
Yes.
Yes.
And then there's, like, I think one of the older characters is the character model used for one of the gentlemen in Little Hope.
Yeah, I think it might have been Charlie's face model.
Might have been Charlie's face model.
Yeah.
But again, you have that weird thing of the face model was shot some time ago, because it was used in games even before Until Dawn.
Yeah.
And then it's basically being piloted by the voice actor.
Yeah. And like, I don't mind that. It's just the first time I noticed it was like, okay, I just need a second to calibrate to that.
Yes.
And
So,
again,
I mean, we've talked
yeah.
before about the fact that Pip Torrens is the voice of the curator.
Yes.
But that's not his face.
Yeah.
Another Darth Vader moment there.
But yeah, I enjoyed this. I like having a game, for all of the complaints, I like having a game that can be played through in a couple of sittings at a weekend,
Yeah.
and that I can come away from and go, cool, I feel like that was a story that I'm glad I saw, and that, like, you know, maybe next time if there's similar problems, you know, if they add in movie mode from the quarry, maybe we do it that way.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean,
but...
I don't mind playing through it again, but I'm probably still going to bitch about it.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
And I think this one felt, of all of them, the least polished. There
Yeah.
were moments where it felt rushed. There were weird moments where you'd walk around a corner and watch your text just slide around on an object for a moment before it settled. There was one moment where we were looking out of this beautifully rendered window, and the window frame had amazing texture work on it, and there was all this detail outside, the plants outside.
Is this the
and then there was
broken
a
glass?
broken window that looked like a jaggy PNG.
Yeah.
That hadn't been cut. Like, it was
There's-
completely different resolution to the rest of everything we were
There's
looking
just like a few weird, almost amusing cut corners.
at. There was the panels in the hallways that when the lights went out at one point, I kept going, oh, is that a secret passage? Oh, is that a secret passage? None of them were secret passages. There was just one weirdly lit panel on this repeated texture all up and down the hallways.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the perfect game to have weird little secret things.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one
yeah.
of the ways the killer was getting around the thing, and it was just never revealed to us. It would explain some things. I found the true secrets of this. There's a lot of very similar stuff. I've noticed as the series has gone on that the curator's changed a bit.
Yes.
He was way more involved in Man of Medan.
Yeah.
He would occasionally pop back in. I think there were like Rorschach tests and
There were definitely things
weird little
going
puzzly
on.
things.
Yeah.
He seemed to have a lot more personality, of like getting quite gleeful about some of the stuff, almost disappointed when people survived.
I mean, this time he very specifically was like, I cannot be involved in this story, and seemed actively, like, angry about our success. And
Yeah, it did leave me with some questions that I had to look up answers on the wiki,
yeah,
because despite my best efforts to go, is that a thing? I'm looking at 2 images that I screen capped while doing the edit for AA this week, and I couldn't. I don't think that is the case.
oh, were you
but
trying to work out Yeah.
one person was somebody else.
Yes, okay.
I checked that as like, no, eye colour's different, face shape is different.
Yeah.
Go checking on the wiki, they're completely different face actors. Cool, that's good to know. But like I think the fact that it did leave me with that sort of mystery stuff, and it's got a bit of a cliffhanger
Yeah.
because no, I'm not going to say too much,
Yes.
but there are two things. One that happens slightly after the credits that made me just go, "Ooh."
Yes.
I am fascinated where next for a whole number of reasons.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if one of those questions is going to be answered ever within the Dark Pictures anthology.
But I feel like at least one of them is going somewhere.
Yes, but even just having a horror story that leaves a bit of an open ending.
Yes.
And not necessarily in a and then the hand came up from the grave as she was putting flowers on it kind of way. But still a sort of like, the looming evil is still perhaps looming an evil. Ooh.
Yeah.
There's mysteries to be solved, and I enjoy the concept of these, even if I don't always appreciate the execution.
Even if I ever have like problems or with a particular game in this, I look at this the way I look at most anthologies, which is I don't care.
They're
if-
always going to be hits.
I don't care if an anthology is not 100% hits for me.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate being able to just enjoy a small, condensed, short story and go, cool, I did a thing. I like short story anthologies, and this was another fun one to add in.
And
that
I
pile.
really enjoy horror, so it was nice to get some of that in.
Yeah, in a world where there's not a huge amount of like regularly released narrative horror games,
Yeah.
it's nice to have this exist, even if it could be improved.
Yeah.
Did you play anything else this week?
Did I play anything else? That's a good question. Oh, we did play one other thing.
What did we play?
We played the Power Rangers Zeo deck
Oh, yeah.
building game. So we've talked about the Power Rangers deck building game by Renegade Games before.
Yep.
It is can be co-op. There is like a 2-on-2 co-op mode version, but we played 1-on-1 Power Rangers versus
Villains.
villains/monsters. And you're building up basically a custom deck from a very weak starter deck that is perfectly mirrored on both sides of the table.
It is an asymmetrical card game in the sense that both of you have like a top-end ability that is unique to your side, but generally you have mostly the same pool of cards available, mirrored in your starting decks, available to buy from the middle row.
Yeah.
The main difference being whether you have like Zords to do damage with, or slowly
Masters.
growing ongoing effects from Masters.
Yeah.
Mechanically, this is the original game.
Yeah, it's just and I'm told you can like mash all this up together into one game.
It very much seems so. The main difference is what cards you have, like the art and what abilities you have on the cards.
Yeah, I think that the base cards, the starter hands, have exactly the same stuff as from the base game.
Yeah.
But it is obviously flavored specifically for Zeo, which
Yeah.
is Robot World, I'm guessing. Given
space and robots.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I looked through the villains deck and I was like, there's a lot of very
Yeah.
robot-y type.
Yeah,
people.
your big bad is a big king made of cogs and all of his cog-based minions.
Yeah, and then you had like the automatas pink
Yeah.
ranger thing going on there.
Yeah.
That was it was some cool design, and it was another chance, and I always enjoy this of we sit down and we play something Power Rangers, and I go, that's cool, tell me about that, and you tell me all about the Power Rangers-iness.
Yeah, I was telling you about the gold Zeo Ranger and who
a
that
cool
was and what was
design.
going on with that. Mechanically, I feel like the gold Ranger's a little overpowered in that losing 1 health per turn but getting to have an extra card draw every single turn is like in any card game I would take. Deal a small amount of damage to yourself to get an extra card every turn. Like, that's overpowered.
I don't know, I think if I had not completely fucked up reading one of my cards, from the very beginning and ending up with like way less health than I should have had.
Yes.
I think I was on the verge of becoming like really powerful.
We were both very close to death, and if you had like the 10 or so more health you probably should have had, probably you might well have won.
I don't know if I would have done, definitely, but like
You were in a good position.
I think it was that one turn where I hit you for like 15 out of a maximum 30 health points.
Yeah.
That you just went, oh fuck.
I realised you had that one attack that did 8 damage by itself. I was like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, and that was refreshing every turn. So as long as I could keep generating enough power
my strongest
for it.
single attack was 5 damage, but it got discarded every time I used it. I had to wait for it to come around again. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, it was expensive to keep running that move, but it was like totally worth it.
It was a fun.
Yeah, I of all the deck building games we play, that is the one that feels most even and less like bad card draw is going to fuck me up. Like Magic the Gathering, I've always had the problems of you can just get a handful of mana, or you can just keep drawing creatures that you can't pay for, and there's no way of mitigating that. Same thing with Pokemon and other games of that sort. With Clank, it's the luck of what comes out in the adventure row, and can you buy that thing before it goes back to somebody else? And this one is just, there is quite a lot of control over what's going on in the middle. It feels fair and even all the way there, and still having enough skill involved by deciding what you're going to attach, what decision you're going to make, if you're just going to throw something away, or if you're going to use it for energy, or if you're going to attach it to your character and then power yourself up, if you're going to go hard into building your Zord Bay or building your layer of villains together.
Yeah.
And then sort of what you're going to do with that, or are you basically going to try and manipulate the main row in such a way that there are constantly adversaries on the row for your opponent? So you could just sit there just not buying anything, and every turn they're potentially hitting your opponent for 6 health per round. Which, when you've only got a maximum of 30, ticks down real freaking quick. But yeah, I really enjoy the Power Rangers deck building game. And I'm glad you do too.
Yeah.
Well, have you got anything else?
I think that's it.
Well then.
Time for this. Are you looking for a Netflix alternative after all of their transphobic program funding?
Uh-huh.
Welcome to Notflix.
Ooh.
We've got all your favourite legitimate movies. We've got Protectors of the Universe, Superb Man, Enchando, How the Grunch Stole Boxing Day, Star Hike, Prepare Player 2,
Yes.
Alien,
Right.
The Dogfather, The King Who Had Rings, and
Right.
even such classics as the Back from the Past trilogy. Definitely legitimate original films your whole family will think they've heard of. Welcome to Notflix.
Now available on the Wish Network. We're a new clothing brand designed for all kinds of bodies. We don't describe our ranges as menswear or womenswear. If you want trousers, we have all kinds of trousers for all kinds of bodies.
Cool. Do you have something for someone who is both wide and tall?
We have a very special range for everyone. If you're a little shorter and wider, we've got just the thing.
Yeah, but what about wide and tall?
Not to worry, we have a range to suit tall folks too.
Yeah, but what if those tall people are also wide?
Are you tired of traditional bras?
I mean, yes, but could you please just answer
We have a kooky range of bras in awesome bright colours.
So you do bigger back sizes?
We don't use boring traditional sizing terms. We've got a quirky letter system.
Is there an explanation for what?
Whether you are a teeny weeny little 20A or a mighty 56 triple J, we've got something for you.
It says here you only label your bras as A to E. This chart makes no sense whatsoever. I'm usually a 48B. Does any of your brightly coloured nonsense fit me?
Haha, don't be silly. That's not a real size.
It is. It's literally my size.
Why not try our C range? This one has polka dots and smiley faces.
This is offering me zero support. I'm liable to pull something if I go jogging in this.
It's so comfortable and made from super soft, sustainable materials.
It doesn't fit.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't, though.
For everybody, sustainable, bull.
Are you okay?
So many quacky, everybody.
I'm just gonna leave this here. Good luck with your brand launch.
We're not like those of the boring brand.
Does anyone have a fire extinguisher? Hello, I think your trendy startup is broken.
So, what have you put in your eyes? What have you watched?
I've not watched a lot of stuff this week.
Yeah?
I did start watching through something that unfortunately I reached the end of, and I don't have any faith that there will ever be any more of.
Okay.
So I was watching like a YouTube review of Season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh!, as it is sometimes referred to.
Right.
So this is, it is based on the manga, and this is before it became an anime/manga about the card game that people think of, Yu-Gi-Oh!
So it was about the King of Games.
Yes.
Or whatever it is.
Yes, it was about the King of Games, which used to be a title specifically because, like, a lot of the elements are still the same as they are in Yu-Gi-Oh! You've got the main character, Yugi, and his friends, and he has his Millennium Puzzle that transforms him into his sort of alter ego who's more confident and powerful.
And has better hair.
Yeah, all of that's still there. The difference is, it's a lot darker, and
Okay.
it's not just one game. He's the king of all games.
Yeah.
And he is a sort of anti-hero, punishes the evil, punishes evildoers
Excellent.
type. So it's basically shy, anxious, meek child will, in the face of villainous types doing bad things, transform into his alter ego and put them in magical saw traps.
Good, because it's always acceptable to put Nazis
yeah.
in saw traps.
And it'll always be things that, like, to greater or lesser degrees are trying to be, like, somewhat ironic punishments for the evildoer based on the thing they've done.
Yeah.
It's like some of them are supernatural in nature, where it's things like, you're so greedy and you want that money. Here's gamble with these cards, and oh no, your greed caused you to fall and get swallowed up by a greed monster. But other times, it's just like, here I am in the real world, and there is a man with a gun, and I'm going to challenge him to a game where the two of us can select one finger from our pair of hands, and when I say go, you gotta kill the other person using just that finger. So the man with the gun's like, my index finger, obviously. And the alternate side of that is, well, I've placed a lighter on top of you by using my thumb as my one finger, and then put this lighter on top of you. If you try and shoot the gun, that lighter's gonna fall and set you on fire, because there's a bunch of alcohol near you, and you're just gonna burn alive if you try and shoot me.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot.
That's awesome.
It's
a bit intense.
It's half a show about just like school kids making friends and having like literally power of adventure friendships, and then just like, hey, I've turned into my dark alter ego. Oh, so you want to steal this young child's watch? What if I put you in a game where your hand might get crushed by cogs? Ooh. It's bonkers. And like, I'm aware of the show, and I've wanted to, like, properly sit... Like, I've watched bits and pieces of it throughout, and I know a lot of what happens in it, but it's never been officially translated, dubbed into English, which is just, like, I've just not gotten around to sitting and properly focusing on subtitles.
Watching one thing at once? That doesn't sound very ADHD.
Right, exactly. But there was a fan dub that I found on YouTube that I ended up stumbling upon.
Right.
Let me find what it's called. Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 English fan dub by the YouTube channel Team Millennium Productions.
Oh.
It's kind of a rough around the edges fan dub, but in a way that feels fitting and not out of place for a late 80s, early 90s anime.
Yeah.
In that yeah, it's kind of poor voice acting, but it is 100% the voice acting quality and acting choices that this would have had if it had been dubbed originally in the late 80s or early 90s.
Hell yeah.
I think this is a rare situation where you can really get away with it, and it feels kind of charming, the rough edges.
Oh, are we talking like Resident Evil 1 levels of voice acting?
A little better than that. People
Okay.
clearly, like, trying, and the pacing's there, but, like, you've got a lot of, like, peaking mics, and, like...
Oh, okay.
Like, this is clearly a bunch of people who are not professionals at acting. Like, really
So
go...
it's been well translated, but and they're giving it their all.
Yeah.
But they're, not recording it in a booth. They're
Yeah,
maybe
they don't necessarily... They're
in
not...
an echoey room.
Yeah, they're recording it in an echoey room with a slightly peaky mic, and maybe overacting a bit, but, like...
Sometimes you got to choose.
And the quality is going to change from one character to another, but like surprisingly well, it fits with the lip flaps and like
I love it.
I was into it. So I was watching through this, got as far as like I watched the first 8 episodes, and each one of them had been one YouTube upload per episode,
Right.
and then episode 9 is episode 9 part 1,
Right.
and I'm like, okay, that's a bad sign. You
Is
stop
it now a
doing full
10-minute
episodes.
episode or something?
Nope. There's 8 full episodes.
Right.
Episode 9, part 1. More coming soon. And that was 2 years ago.
Oh.
So I was very much enjoying that, and maybe I will have to just sit down and properly watch the subtitled version to finish it off. But yeah, it's got its problems. Like, it is definitely an earlier incarnation of that show that, like, there's a couple of characters. There's like a couple of characters that just annoy me who got completely cut when it got rebooted.
Right.
There's
One of those work better as a manga than as a
yeah. There's some character traits that I'm glad didn't make the reimagining, where like certain characters are just a bit more leery at girls because like it was
Yeah.
late 80s, early 90s adaptation, things like that. But like a surprising amount of like characters and concepts from the main show are there and intact. The card game, it shows up. It's not like the focus, but it definitely shows up more than any other game. It's the only one that's a repeated, recurring game. Although it's kind of fascinating to see people complain about season 1 of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, like not obeying the rules of the card game. This is so far removed from having any kind of rules that make sense.
Heck the rules.
It is entirely being made up as it goes along, and it's hilarious.
Okay.
There's a lot of, there is so much, this card, I played this monster, and it has like 8 abilities I didn't tell you about, haha.
Okay.
There's a lot of,
I mean, I know there's a lot of info on those damn cards.
oh no, there's no text on these cards. It's a picture and a number, and that's it.
Ah.
It's like, but did you didn't know its secret power? If you play it 100%, every time it shows up in Season 0, Yu-Gi-Oh! Plays the way that it would if you handed the cards to a 4-year-old who was, making it, like, going, no, because this one's a dragon, which means it can do double damage because yours is grass, and fire will burn the grass up, and therefore...
I win.
Now I go in your deck and get rid of all the grass cards, which is because I had fire.
Yeah.
And fire spreads.
Yeah, and also it can fly, which means...
You can't hit it with your ones that don't have wings.
Yeah.
And-
So that one doesn't have picture
yeah.
wings on it, therefore it cannot win.
Right, it's that.
I know
It's-
that kid.
It's like season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Does an amount of that. Like there's a famous moment in season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! The actual like series where a character uses a sword to stab the moon to make a character's fish. Like, stabs the literal real-world moon so that all the fish monsters will die because the tide goes away.
Moon stole the fish.
Moon stole the fish. There's one where, like, that card, I attacked it in its flotation ring, so it came down and crushed all your other monsters.
Oh no, it's
And,
little
like-
floaty.
But, like, Season 0 goes so much further with the nonsense logic.
Yay!
It's great. But yeah, it's a weirdly fun show about, like, hey, children just trying to have fun with their friends. Time for me to put you in a magical saw trap, cause you're an evildoer.
Uh-oh.
Oh no! Yeah, it's fascinating.
That sounds it.
What about you? What have you watched this
Well,
week?
I'm going to bring the mood down.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
watched the new People Make Games documentary, which is apparently part 1 of 2.
I also watched that. Huh?
This is called How Valve is Profiteering from Steam's Backdoor Casinos.
Yep.
So I'm tangentially aware of some of this. That basically when Steam started doing CSGO... I remember the hats thing in Team Fortress 2 for a while.
Yes.
Being like a... There seemed to be a lot of controversy and lots of like YouTubers and video game pundits that did video stuff, because far be it from my dyslexic ass to have spent a lot of time reading in the early 2000s. So a lot of that information was sort of like, I was hearing it on like 3-hour-long video game podcasts at the time of, yeah, someone did a bad involving hats. And I didn't quite understand it.
Yeah.
And then I have obviously heard more stuff about, oh yeah, you know, people trade gun skins for CSGO. I'm like, isn't CSGO like a decade old? Are people still playing CSGO?
Yeah. So
Maybe, but probably not for CSGO by the sounds of it.
yeah. So the big like awareness I had of this was around 2017, the CS:GO Lotto situation, which was a couple of very, very popular Twitch streamers were promoting gambling streams for Counter-Strike Go skins without disclosing the fact that they owned the website
And had skewed the numbers.
and
so
had
they could
skewed
not
the
lose.
numbers to make sure that they got a disproportionate number of jackpots happening,
Yeah.
so that people would watch them and go, "Oh, it looks really easy
I could
to
do that too.
make a mega big win and be exciting like them," and not realizing that A, they weren't spending any money because it was their own site, and B, yeah, the numbers were faked.
Yeah.
So I remember that being a whole thing, and then it going really quiet. And it's like, at the time, Valve had gone, no, this is unacceptable. And apparently it just quietly kept going since. Yeah.
And to, like, they talk about, or Quinns talks about in the documentary, that this is such a huge problem, and you cannot even begin to grasp it if you're only looking at English language sites.
Yes.
Just, this is a huge global problem, so many places where there is no regulation around this, because technically you're not gambling money, you're just gambling some skins for guns in a game. But also there is inspiration to spend more money to upgrade things and do more spins. And then you've got the fact that Valve are technically making money every time you unlock one of the loot boxes to get the skin that you've quote-unquote won in the first place. Oh, you've won this thing. You're gonna need to buy a key to open the loot box. But you've definitely won that. That's yours. So, yeah, that's kind of shitty. And, yeah, it's a 30-minute documentary, 35-minute documentary about just the shittiness and seediness involved in that. Lots of people giving first-hand experiences in anonymity about the experiences of, yeah, I was 14, and for a minute I had like $3,000, and then I realised I had nothing, and I didn't quite know how to process that, but I was working out new ways to get more money, so that I could, like, begging parents for money so that I could go and do more gambling.
And a lot of people specifically talking about, like, I am an adult gambling addict, and very specifically this unregulated industry
Got me started.
like wired my brain in such a way that I will never not be addicted to gambling now. That is just a thing in my head.
Yeah.
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 It is a fascinating and well-researched, if depressing, watch.
Yes. And some of the figures in that get real fucking wild.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I had no idea the scale of it. I am curious to watch whatever the second half of this series turns out to be, but Valve basically making a bunch of money by not bothering to do anything to clamp down on this. So, there's that. Anyway, tell us something slightly more heartwarming.
I wish I had something slightly more heartwarming. What have I watched that was heartwarming? Oh, I watched a new episode of Game Changers on Dropout.
Oh, yeah.
So the concept of this is that it is a karaoke game show
Right.
But with the concept being, we don't have the rights to any licensed, like, real songs from real artists.
Right.
So, we got a few people in, at least one of whom is from the Making Musicals
Yep.
show. And here is a binder full of fake song names and real artists
Right.
in combination. So it'll be like,
Okay.
this song that doesn't exist by Tina Turner, or this song that
Right.
doesn't exist by NSYNC.
Okay.
And if you select that song for karaoke, a sound-alike song from an artist is going to start playing, and you have to make up the words and sing it right now. Go.
Okay.
You have to improv a song like Man of a Thousand Goodbyes by, I forgot what, Frank Sinatra. Or whatever
I
this...
saw a clip from this on
Yeah.
like a YouTube short, I think, or maybe a TikTok.
Yeah.
Doing an Aretha Franklin cover.
Yeah. Yes, I think, there was one that was like, I Candy or something, I think it was
Yes,
called.
I think that's the one.
Yeah. But yes, here is a binder full of track and artist name. Make up a song on the spot that would have this name in the style of this artist.
Okay.
It is fun. I was very impressed by some of the quick thinking on show.
And was this a lot of the same people that do the live musical stuff?
A little
Improv
bit, but there was
musical?
definitely like some new people that I hadn't seen on this one, and
Because obviously we know they can make up a song at the drop of a hat.
yes, so there was one person in particular where I was like, oh yeah, you are very specifically, they brought you in because
Yeah.
you do the musical improv.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was a really fun episode. It was
Cool.
I hope there is they do this one again.
Yeah.
This was a fun.
This could be another spin-off show for you.
Honestly,
People like the singing.
I watched this first episode and was like, I would watch this being spun off into its own series.
I like the idea that Game Changers can sort of just be.
It's a game show
basic-
incubator.
we're just beta testing. We're throwing everything at the wall.
Yeah, like the biggest problem for this is obviously the sheer number of sound-alike songs you have to write and have on hand to do an episode of this.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I guess
like,
some of it you can just play it at a minor key or
Yeah,
change the tuning on it.
but yeah, it was really fun.
Hey,
And I'd be up for rewatching it if you want to give it a watch,
Yeah,
because
I'm
it was
up for
real
that.
fun. Yeah.
I do enjoy the Game
What
Changers.
about you? Did you watch anything else this week?
I watched a couple of things. I watched The King Animation versus Minecraft Shorts Episode 30 Shorts. It's 30 minutes long. I was like, yeah, I've got a little time to unwind before bed. I will just put on these. I seem to remember these being like 5 minutes long or 10 minutes long. Do you know these? They're like stick figure animations with
Yeah.
Minecraft stuff, and it was
Vaguely
from that
aware.
whole period of Newgrounds being full of amazing
Stick figure
fighting animations.
Yeah.
But then throwing in the new thing of Minecraft stuff. This went some freaking places.
Mm.
The stick figure person goes to like an amusement park with their partner, I'm guessing, and they sign a disclaimer and go into Minecraft world, or possibly their child, I suppose. And the person goes into the big Minecraft block and gets sucked into a Minecraft world, which then sort of collapses on itself, and then he just goes home and spends the next however freaking long trying to work out exactly what to do to get back into Minecraft world to save the yellow one. And it's just this really intense, amazingly told silent story that just becomes this sort of epic battle in Minecraft with all sorts of monsters that I haven't seen and may well have been added to Minecraft since I was last interested in it, or last had time for it. Herobrine's in there at one point, because I guess you gotta. There's an impressive scene where one of the characters is basically wearing blocks as like a mech. So they've made... they are a stick figure inside the head of a stick figure made of obsidian blocks that's beating up the person with this all-powerful staff thing that's destroying the Minecraft world.
That's a lot.
And just the way that whole thing of just this collapsing world and people trying to save themselves from this super powerful person who seems to have just lost control of themselves and lost themselves, and it takes them being completely defeated to basically work out what they really needed to do all along. It is a fascinating bit of animation, and it was longer than I expected, and then I was all sleepy and I had to go to bed. What about you? Have you watched anything else?
No, that's it for me, really, I think.
Well, that's it for me then. So,
Well then, time for this.
Laura, we've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you know someone who is unable to step away from the Pocketed Man's games?
No one like that I know.
Someone that cannot possibly put it down and is constantly engaging in that sort of activity?
Nope, no, never heard of anyone having that problem.
Well, apparently that is the case, such that
Oh.
this company has set up a little business here.
Oh, well, I feel very bad for whoever is playing all
Yeah,
too
I
much
hope they're
Pokemon
okay, and
can't
I'm
put
glad
it down
that
and can't
that's-
move on from it.
Yeah, I hope
Whoever
they're
that is, I feel very bad for them.
I hope that they're okay, and I'm glad that this business exists to help, and I hope that they're a non-profit. They are, in fact, a non-profit, so
Oh,
okay.
lovely.
Okay, so, if you need to put somebody in quarantine, I guess some kind of, cold turkey for Pokemon, they'll be put into quarantine with different video games. So no video games, they will still have entertainment, just not the
Yeah,
Pocketed
but not Pokemon though.
So
I mean, that's pretty torturous. I mean, not that I would be addicted to Pokemon and no, but like, it seems like a very mean thing to do to someone to have no Pokemon access.
Well, maybe if they feel that it's becoming problematic in their life, or there's been some sort of
I don't have a
intervention.
problem. Sorry, what?
If someone is finding the
If someone has a problem,
if someone
okay,
is in
yeah.
some way being debilitated by their constant playing of the Pokemans, maybe they're struggling to get up in the mornings, or they're struggling to get other work done.
Or they've got blisters on their thumbs from running around in circles, shiny hunting, trying to hatch eggs.
Yeah, or they have officially had every sandwich modification perfect recipe tattooed on their arm within the last week.
Or maybe their Switch is overheated because they won't stop battling the champion tournament over and over again to get money to get supplements to build up a competitive ready team. Not that I would know. Someone else, hypothetically.
Hypothetically, all those sounded like very the correct words. I wouldn't know myself. So if there's anyone who has that, that's pokedetox.lol.net, and if you check them out, they will maybe be able to help you. Anyway, now back to Pokemon.
I hope it's useful for someone out there.
Do, 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 do.
Oh, I finally got my shiny Vizoola.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, we got a problem again.
Can we buy it?
No. We're gonna have to get creative about PR spin.
That means I have to think.
I know, right? Right. So here's the problem.
Right.
We've been getting children addicted to gambling.
Yeah, we have.
It's been great. It's
Yeah.
a wonderful, wonderful source of income.
Yeah.
But,
They never stop.
yeah. But some people have worked out we're getting kids to get addicted to gambling, and that's apparently a bad thing.
Hey, there are no laws against that, and we have made damn sure of that.
Exactly. But just to cover our asses,
Right.
I think we gotta have a brainstorming session of how we can spin kids are getting addicted to gambling as a positive.
Right.
So, like, I'm thinking it teaches them commitment to not give up on things.
Yeah, you've lost all your money, but you're not giving up.
No.
You're not a quitter. You're gonna keep trying.
Yeah, you're not gonna walk away while you're, after a loss. You're gonna
Yeah.
get right back in there.
Yeah, get right back in here.
Perseverance.
Yeah.
Not letting a setback, stop you from continuing. You're
Don't
gonna
stop.
plow right through that setback.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep on going.
Never giving up. Never give up on your dreams.
Yeah.
Of making it rich in our gambling simulator.
Yeah.
What
They don't
else?
even know the odds.
Yeah, what else we got? What else? Don't play it too safe in life. Take
Yeah.
risks.
Take a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if you have a kid that's going to grow up, never taking risks and then never achieving anything as a result? they're gonna learn to take risks here.
I take risks all the time.
Do you?
Yeah, I bought a takeaway.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't have anyone make that for me. I mean, apart from people at shop, I guess. I bought that.
I mean, that is a risk you took, I guess.
Yeah, I
That
bought
is
that.
exactly the same as a child gambling.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I got one last one. I think this one works.
Right.
We're teaching children ambitious goal setting.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you
don't-
gotta set the goal. You
Yeah.
want to be a millionaire, right?
Yeah, don't aim low, aim high. Aim
Shoot for the
so
stars.
high. What? Don't stop until you've either made all the money
Or giving it to us.
or given us all the money.
Yeah, I love money.
Yeah.
So, kids, keep working, work hard. You can achieve
Never
your
give
goal.
up. Never give up.
Never give up. Never stop.
Never stop gambling in our games.
Yeah, just aim, or just give us your money. Do you want to be that achiever? You can just give us your money. I'm into that.
We are fucking geniuses.
I know. So, what have you put in your ears? What have you listened to?
You're going to be carrying this segment. It's been a very listened light week
Yeah?
for me. I've barely listened to anything.
Rawr, you
I've-
listen to some bears. Rawr.
Arr. I've listened to things I already know while shiny hunting in Pokemon.
Ah.
It's been a lot of just put on sound in the background while I look for it. It's been stuff that I can count to 60 while knocking out Pokemon and losing track of where I am in my count, then like not getting distracted by a thing I'm listening to.
Okay.
It's a lot of just chill beats to relax and study to, and songs I know inside and out while I go.
Chill beats to farm shiny.
Well, I'm like 1, knockout, 2, 3, 4, 4, and just sit doing that. What have
Okay.
you listened to this week?
Well, I guess. I mean, we listened to some of this together. We listened to some DJ Cummerbund.
Oh, we did, yes.
We put on through the flaming hotels of California, which is a Fire in the Flames Hotel California
it's-
/ something else mashup.
It's fucking gorgeous, is what it is.
It's really good.
There's a bit of Destiny's Child in there at
Yeah,
some point.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful,
I do enjoy
beautiful
Cummerbund's
mashup.
mashups. The other one we listened to because you hadn't heard it before was Play That Funky Music Rammstein.
Yeah. I must say.
What if Du hast met funky music?
Yeah. Of all the things I want to praise about that, there's a lot of things to praise.
It's the backing singers.
The backing singers that slip in and out of the original vocal track in order to have have the word Rammstein say smoothly put into the sentence.
Right.
Yeah, it's so perfectly slipped in. It's wonderful.
It's a really, really well designed mashup with some great original additions to make it all work together. And I think that's one of the ones that I'm always most impressed with. I started listening to a new podcast this week
Yeah.
based on some advice about how to get improve my language learning outside of Duolingo.
Yeah.
The owl, it shouts at me, but occasionally there have to be other things to do too. So I have started listening to a podcast called Coffee Break German.
Okay.
It is sort of a conversational thing. Each episode is introducing a concept, and then two people will sort of talk through it and discuss it about how that works in different ways. Obviously, with German's one of those languages where you have a formal and an informal case, and how that changes. I don't remember which words mean verbs and nouns and things. I need to look that up because I feel as I'm learning another language, cases is another thing I'm constantly confused by. Maybe if I understood more of the words to explain language and the bits of language, I might not struggle as much.
Probably true, but also you're not alone. I'm a writer and I still am which one's a noun?
I
Which
know
one's
verbs are doing words.
Verbs are doing words. What that means, sometimes I'm which ones are doing words?
Dancing, singing, fisting. Things like that. That I remember that because my nan used to get me to think of all the ing words I could on the way to school and on the way back. It was just a way to keep me occupied and not running into the street. Say all of the ing words. I don't know. Ring-a-ding-ding. Leave me alone. I want to stare at the clouds. Oh yeah, Coffee Break German. I am like 6 episodes into that. It's gone from like, how do you say hello, and how are you, and where do you come from, and what's your name, and we're now introducing family members. We're talking about how words change around the grammatical gender of things, and whether that's like formal or informal, and just all the different cases for doing different things. And then they occasionally have Yulia, who pops in and does some sort of, hey, I live in a different bit to the person who's teaching the German here, Thomas. He's from down south, and I'm more from up north, and we have slightly different ways of saying things. So if you happen to be in Bavaria, you might learn different things to if you happen to be in Berlin. And different ways people greet each other in different parts of the country that you might hear. And what those things mean. And I also like that the person who is sort of essentially being educated throughout this series as a proxy for us, the audience, asks sort of like the sorts of questions that I have often asked myself while learning these things, like, that seems like a really long word for what you've translated that as. What does it literally mean? So it's been nice that he sort of goes, yeah, but what does that literally mean? And it's like, okay, yeah, I understand that breakdown, and I understand why it is longer than it seems to be for what you're saying it translates to. The difference to literal translation and the intended meaning, or the equivalent meaning in a different language, and the difference of that. So that's been nice. And I've learnt some new words that Duolingo, 6 to 7 weeks into my German course, hasn't bothered teaching me, but seem like they would have been really basic. But yeah, that has been an interesting and handy little podcast, able to find on all good podcasting apps.
Yeah.
I'm on Podcast Europe, but it's not very good. It is convenient and free, so yeah. Have you got anything else?
Nah, that's about it for me, I think.
Well then,
Time for this.
okay, everyone, we've got someone very special coming in today. Now, as you know, we've been moving more into just branding for individuals rather than just businesses. And today we have a very special guest. He's a very well-known billionaire, and I don't even have to introduce him. So, how is it? Lovely to meet you. Come on in.
Oh, hello. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for seeing me today. Let's cut right to the chase. I need help becoming popular, because no matter how many times I make memes on the internet or buy things that are popular, people online keep being mean to me.
Have you tried changing your hat?
I've tried changing my hat, it's not helped.
Your socks, maybe.
It hasn't helped.
People do like a snazzy sock.
Nope, I've worn such snazzy socks. I even wore socks that had a let that sink in and a picture of a sink on them, and they still don't like me. It's a good joke.
Have you considered not being a shadow right-wing asshole who thinks money solves everything, who doesn't actually have any kind of values, and doesn't really believe in anything because this is the first thing in your whole privileged life that you've ever tried to do, something that you immediately give in to your whims?
Hey, that's not true. I believe in free speech and I value hard work.
You bought and permanently erased the parent owner of a website where someone made a gif of you in a silly hat because less than 1,000 people shared it and said that it was funny. Was their speech not free?
You're bullying me? I'm gonna buy this company so I can fire you, and then I'm gonna buy your state, and I'm gonna make it illegal for you to drink out of that cup. I'll see how you like it.
Well, you've convinced me. Clearly, I was wrong about you. I'm going to tell everyone what a great guy you are.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh.
Stardate 74242125. We are taking a human delegate to a conference on the planet of Firmaween. We are traveling through space now. Hello, how are you finding this traveling on our spaceship? It's very soft.
It's adorable. I don't know what I expected getting abducted by aliens to be. Like, I did not expect this much cuteness.
This is not so much abduction. We are taking you to meet the people of our planet so that we can set up, formal negotiations to set up an embassy on Formarine.
I mean, you might have told me that at some point, but anything you told me in the first, 15 minutes went in one ear and out the other. I was just...
I got little soft tails, isn't it?
I mean, it was a lot of different cute factors happening at once.
Was it our little soft tails?
At least a little bit.
Was it our little soft noses that the wiggles?
It was a little bit those as well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no! We are under attack! Oh no! We are under attack! Put up the shields! Somebody Okay, you put up the shields. Okay, the shields are up now. We're probably okay. Okay. The big meanie people are here now. There's no good. Open hailing frequencies. Hey! What are you doing here? Why?
What are you doing here in this corner of the quadrant?
We're just taking off a new friend here to meet our people so that we can set up formal negotiation for them to have an embassy on our planet.
I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be interrogating while you're here and threatening you to get out of this corner. Are you aware you're adorable?
I'm very soft. I have a little nose and my little tail does the wiggles.
Turn off the targeting lasers.
Yay! Friendship! Okay, one of you come on board as well and we'll take you out. We can set up formal embassy on our planet. Trade negotiations! They're my favorite.
Yay!
Yay! Okay, fire at will. Got him! Anyway, that's how we deal with the bad peoples. Okay, we set up trade negotiations now. Ahead, whoop like the cutie!
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brochure Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
All right, Larry. All right, Harry. How you doing? Oh, really struggling a bit with the cold at the moment, but doing my best. You been up to much? Making do with it in the cold. I've been seeing some rumblings going on online and been thinking about something I hadn't thought about in a while.
Yeah, what's that, mate?
No, I know this is a thing, but I've just been thinking about it again. There's a whole portion of, I was going to say a generation of people, but I don't think that's quite right, because I think there's a lot of people, even within our generations who aren't as online, who have this stance, but it amazes me that we still have this sort of attitude of, if someone's being harassed online, just walk away, just leave the computer behind, walk away.
Right. Yeah.
The harassment can't follow you if you just walk away from social media. Because it not only is it like a fundamental misunderstanding of what online harassment can be, and that sometimes if a person just stops responding online, it will escalate to
swatting,
things like swatting in real world incidences, doxing, things like that. But also that sort of I think more than ever in the last few years, it's become very more and more people are working from home over the internet and doing jobs that require them to be on social media for work.
Yeah.
And more often it is becoming the case that someone maybe can't just walk away from online harassment that's happening if they also have to be online to do their job and can't have the option of just not be on the internet.
Yeah, you can't just walk away from it. It's really something that is very portable, and unless you're say in something like agricultural work, you're probably not going to be able to spend a lot of time just switched off from the internet as a whole. A lot of people conduct business one way or another online, or need to enter certain aspects of social media, and even those people who do their best and don't really get involved in the discourse, TM, whatever that might be on any given day, or huge movements. Very minor people can be targeted by massive hate campaigns that can cause them untold issues and follow them home, not only harassing them and potentially harassing family members if it's got to that sort of level.
Indeed, the example I was thinking about was increasing number of people sort of for work have to have a business email address that is listed on the internet, and so easily you could end up in a situation of I'm being harassed on the internet via my email inbox, which I can't just not look at because I do need to be using it for work, but also at random intervals, abusive stuff's going to come through. And, like, you know, that is a very real situation for a lot of people. And, like, that, you know, it's easy to say, oh, it's just some mean things on a computer, but the sheer volume of harassment that can happen online is just, it's war of attrition. It is a real, like, wears down a person kind of.
Yeah, and the other thing is you know, the sorts of people who will tell you, you know, just walk away from it are probably imagining a sort of schoolyard bully situation where it's one or two, you know, bully type characters, and they are harassing one person who's really done no harm. And if the last few years has taught us anything, you know, well, gosh, even the last decade has taught us anything, you know, there can be massive hate campaigns by people who really have nothing better to do than spend all day, you know, tracking down every bit of information about you, finding every past bit of information about you, and, you know, harassing your friends, your family, you know, directly contacting your job in some cases. You know, starting to then feed that into potentially, you know, hacking into bits of that person's life so they can't step away from it because for their own security they have to be getting involved in you know, locking that down or protecting themselves.
Yeah, well, I think that's a tiring place.
Yes, mate. Yeah, it's possibly the most exhausting of all places. You, fancy hungry?
Oh, yeah.
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 Good old, mate, good old. Right, I think we're going to pop the kettle.
Oh, sounds like a plan.
Nice.
So, Laura,
Yes?
you do a good book, I hear.
I mean, among other things, I do good book.
Well, so, would you tell us about some more book?
Well, I suppose I could tell you about book. The one we've got coming up is Who Hunts the Whale.
It is.
That's coming out.
256 pages. Yes.
Yeah, that's a number of 2 to the power of 8, I think.
It's one of the 0 to 255 numbers. That's
Exactly.
The important
You just keep doubling and doubling and doubling
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah. Who Hunts
Fits
the
in
Whale?
binary.
Who Hunts the Whale? It's coming out on February 16th, 2023. That's like 2 months away.
Hell yeah.
That's real close.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you hear this, it might well be going toward the printers.
Yeah.
Like
We've done all the approving.
it's imminently going to be printed.
It's as good as we can make it now.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about what that book is?
It's a silly and serious and satirical book about what it's like to get your dream job in the game industry and then go, oh, maybe it's not as dreamy as I'd hoped. And is basically having to make difficult decisions while working at Supremacy Software, that fictional company that we made up to represent all of the industry many, many years ago on this very show. So if you enjoy that skit, but you'd like, what if that was a bit more in-depth and there was a whole book about it, a year in the life of, then maybe you want to get in that. Yeah, you can pre-order it now at unbound.com/book/whale. I am very excited and a little bit apprehensive. People are going to read it soon.
It's gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
Real human beings will sit and read.
Yeah, I've read it through 6 times already in various states, and it still makes me laugh, so I think that's a good sign.
Tell us about where else you can be found on the internet.
Me, I can be found at Linktree. That's linktree.ee/Janiac, Janiac. I do streams pretty much every Thursday night. I occasionally write things. This very podcast, I make music under the name Bedroom Programmer. All of these things can be found on my Linktree. Laura, where can you be found?
There's just Laura K. Buzz everywhere. All the places you'll find me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very good. I'm very excited to find you in places.
Yeah.
There you are, I found you.
Yay.
It's the shiny you. Yeah.
It's the sleepy me.
Oh no, it's the sleepy you. Well then, well, before you pass out, will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.